As the first light of dawn touches the sky, a single droplet of water drifts down from the clouds above, its descent slow and serene. For a moment, it hangs suspended in the cool, quiet air, as though savoring the moment before it joins the world. Below, the drop feels the breeze teasing it gently, pulling it closer to the earth. It can sense the expanse beneath the vast world it is about to touch hand with a quiet thrill. It lets go, plunging down toward its destination. The moment of its fall is graceful, almost like an elegant dance. The water drop tumbles through, the air moving freely and fearlessly, feeling the air swirl around it as it accelerates. Below, the landscape waits. It's a world of greens and blues, of flowing rivers and vibrant forest, a place that is rich with life and possibility. The water drop, in its fleeting moment of glory, feels that it is destined for something magnificent. It is a crucial part of the world, a vital force that will bring life, sustain growth, and flow through the earth like the lifeblood of nature itself as it nears the ground. The water drop senses the pull of gravity guiding it down, its destination now inevitable. The world below beckons, and with one final shift, the drop touches the surface of a calm lake. It creates a small splash, a ripple that fans out in circles across the water's surface. For a moment, the drop is a singular presence in the lake, alone and distinct, feeling an overwhelming sense of importance. It is the drop that began it all, the drop that started the ripple, the change. It is the drop that knows it is powerful, necessary, and vital. And for that moment, nothing else matters. The surface of the lake, once undisturbed, now carries the evidence of the drop's presence. It is part of the lake, part of the world, part of everything. And yet, even as the water slowly settles and smooths over, the drop remains aware of its singular impact. It feels, for the first time, the weight of its own significance. It is a part of something larger, something endless. But in this brief moment, it is the center of its universe. And so, the drop rests in the stillness, content, basking in the quiet power of its existence. The world around the drop is peaceful, serene, as if holding its breath. The soft ripples from its impact expand slowly, and the drop feels its connection to the vast body of water that stretches around it. The lake, with its peaceful surface, holds the drop gently. There is no rush here, no urgency. The drop simply exists, resting in the soft embrace of the water, a small yet significant piece of a much greater whole. The wind stirs gently, causing the leaves on the nearby trees to rustle softly, their quiet sound echoing through the stillness of the morning. The drop, still floating in the lake, feels a deep sense of contentment. But there is something else, something stirring deep within. It is not simply floating, it is part of the world's greater rhythm. It is a drop of water, yes, but it is also a part of the sky, the clouds, the earth itself. It can feel this connection, this unity, with every soft pulse of the lake beneath it. For a long while, the drop remains there, drifting in the calm water. It is the only one of its kind, but at the same time, it is not. There are countless drops around it, all of them invisible, flowing beneath the surface, making their way toward destinations unknown. Each of them has its purpose, its journey to fulfill, and yet they are all connected, flowing in and out of each other. The drop's pride in its singularity starts to soften. It is not the only one, nor is it the most important. It is a part of the greater whole, as much as the lake is part of the river, and the river part of the sea. The world is vast, and the drop is but a fleeting moment within it. Still, in that moment of realization, the drop begins to understand the significance of its place in the cycle of life. It is not alone, but rather a small and essential part of something far greater, a cycle that will continue, as it always has, without pause, without end. As the sun rises higher, the drop drifts slowly with the current, ready to continue its journey. Understanding now that it is not the only drop, but it is still a drop that matters, the drop continues to float. Its journey just beginning, it has learned that its importance is not in isolation, but in connection. It has entered the great flow of nature, where it will be carried through rivers, absorbed by plants, and eventually return to the skies to fall again, just as it has before. With this realization, the drop feels at peace. It has no need to prove its significance. It simply exists, flowing through life as it was meant to. And so, the journey continues, as the drop merges with the vast body of water. Both proud and humble in its place within the natural cycle, the journey of one small drop, now part of the endless whole, has only just begun. As the scholar feels the water around him, he can't help but notice how the lake, though still, is teeming with life beneath its surface. Every movement of the water, no matter how small, has a purpose. The winds that brush the surface of the lake stir the water, creating ripples that spread outward, reaching far beyond where they began. Even the quiet lake, in its apparent calm, is alive with the invisible flow of life. The drop floats along the surface, its journey now entwined with the larger world. Not isolated but connected to every element around it. The water begins to move beneath the drop, gently nudging it forward with a soft, steady current. It drifts toward the center of the lake, where the water is deeper and the shadows grow longer as the sun rises higher into the sky. The drop feels an undeniable pull, as though the water itself is guiding it, coaxing it to follow the natural flow of life. There is no resistance here, only the fluid ease of movement, the comforting embrace of the water. It is a path that does not demand anything from the drop, but instead offers it a gentle invitation to follow the current, to let go of any thoughts of control or ownership. The drop floats on, feeling the current change, the water growing slightly cooler as it moves deeper into the lake's heart. It is not alone. There are other drops nearby, though they are invisible to the naked eye. The water is filled with them, each drop a part of a larger flow, each contributing to the great system of life that the lake is a part of. The drop, once feeling so important in its singularity, now understands that its worth lies not in standing apart, but in being part of this continuous flow of water, of life, of existence. It is not the center of the universe, but a small, meaningful part of it. The ripples from its initial impact have long since faded, and yet the water continues to move, softly guiding the drop onward. It drifts past water lilies, their leaves stretching toward the sky, their blossoms opening wide in the morning sun. There is a delicate beauty in the simplicity of nature. The lilies are not striving, not competing, simply existing, reaching toward the light in the most graceful, natural way. The drop, watching them, feels a sense of peace. It does not need to fight or struggle. It only needs to move with the flow, to embrace its place in the world. The deeper the drop travels into the lake, the more it becomes aware of the rich life that surrounds it. Schools of fish dart gracefully through the water, their scales shimmering in the sunlight. Their movement is swift and purposeful, but they are not fighting against the water, they are flowing with it, as it is meant to be. The drop watches them, mesmerized by their beauty, by the way they seem to dance with the water, not against it. It begins to realize that the fish, like it, are not struggling to prove their worth. They simply live, moving in harmony with the world around them, their purpose clear in every fluid motion. The drop's thoughts turn inward, and for the first time since its fall from the cloud, it feels truly at peace. There is no need to prove anything. There is no need to be the most important, the most visible. In this moment, the drop understands that its role, like that of the fish, the lilies, and the trees on the shore, is simply to be a part of the flow, to contribute to the whole, and to move through the world without resistance. The water shifts slightly, pulling the drop toward the far side of the lake, where the sun casts dappled light through the trees. The drop, now a small part of the lake's rhythm, floats effortlessly along. The world around it is alive with movement, yet, in the quiet peace of the water, the drop realizes it is not alone, nor does it need to be. It is part of something much greater than itself, and that is enough. As the drop drifts across the lake, it moves further from the shore, away from the familiar places, toward the unknown. The lake is vast, its depths mysterious, its current ever-changing, and yet, with every movement of the water, the drop feels a profound sense of belonging. It knows it is part of the larger rhythm of nature, connected to the unseen forces that guide its journey. There is no need to understand where the water will take it. It only needs to trust the current, to trust that it is moving toward where it needs to be. As the sun climbs higher in the sky, the drop feels the warmth of the day spreading across the water. The temperature of the lake is now warmer, the water reflecting the light of the sun in a way that makes it appear as though the entire world is bathed in a soft, golden glow. The drop, though it has traveled far, feels no sense of exhaustion, no sense of hurry. It moves gently, steadily, with the rhythm of the lake, and in that rhythm, it finds a quiet contentment. It is no longer trying to control its path. It is simply being, simply moving with the flow, and in that simplicity, it finds its true purpose, and so, the drop continues its journey, moving further into the lake's embrace. No longer concerned with where it began or where it is headed. It is no longer just a drop of water. It is part of something larger, something eternal. It is a part of the world's continuous cycle, and in that, it is complete. With every ripple of the water, with every movement of the current, it finds peace in its place within the flow of life. The current continues to guide the drop of water, now carried from the lake into the gentle flow of a river. The water feels different here. It is quicker, more determined, and yet there is still a softness to its movement. The drop drifts effortlessly, its path no longer as leisurely as it was in the stillness of the lake. The river moves with a purpose, sweeping the drop downstream, pulling it toward an unknown destination. It feels like the river is alive, always moving, always changing, its rhythm steady but ever shifting. The drop notices that, in the river, it is no longer alone. Other drops, smaller and larger, each unique, join it in the flow. They are invisible companions in this journey, together, creating a constant movement, a collective force that sustains the river. The drop understands now that it is part of a greater network. No drop is ever isolated. They all work together, each one contributing to the life and power of the river. It feels a quiet connection with these other drops, as if they are all part of the same story, moving toward the same endless horizon. The river's current picks up pace as it winds through the valley, rushing over smooth stones, and the drop feels the rush of energy beneath it. The river is a force of nature, unstoppable and untamed. It moves with the earth, carving paths through the land, shaping the world around it. The drop can feel the power of the water as it pushes forward, the force of the earth beneath it, and the boundless sky above. The world is vast, and the drop is small, but it is part of something immense, something uncalmed as the river flows. The drop finds itself moving faster, its once gentle pace now quickening with the current. It passes over rocks that create ripples, feeling the water surge around it, faster and faster. The sound of the rushing river fills its senses, the rush of the water against the rocks creating a kind of melody that pulses through the very air. The drop, once content to drift aimlessly, now feels a sense of purpose in its movement, a direction in the flow. The river is carrying it somewhere, and though it does not know the end, it has come to trust the journey. The current is a guide, and the drop is simply one piece in a much larger movement. The drop's journey becomes more intense as the river carries it toward a waterfall in the distance, its roar growing louder with each passing moment. The drop can feel the tension in the water, the force of nature gathering ahead, as if it is being pulled toward something greater than itself. The river's course narrows, the water flows faster, and the drop senses that it is approaching a critical moment. It is no longer just a passive participant. It is now part of the river's surge, part of the great flow of life that is moving with unstoppable force. But even as the drop feels the rising tension of the waterfall ahead, there is no fear, only a deep sense of awe. The water has no choice but to continue its path, whether it rushes toward a waterfall, trickles through a stream, or evaporates into the sky. The drop has learned, in its journey, that its purpose is not to control the path it takes, but to trust the flow, to move with the current. It has learned to embrace change, to welcome uncertainty, and to let go of the need for answers. The drop passes through the narrowing river, its journey accelerating, its body becoming part of the great surge toward the waterfall. The sound of the water grows louder, and the drop feels the power of the current pulling it toward the drop's inevitable fate. It moves faster, with greater force, feeling the rush of water all around it. The drop can feel the tug of the waterfall, like the pull of destiny, and it knows that it is being carried toward something transformative. As the drop nears the waterfall's edge, it experiences a brief moment of stillness, a pause in the motion, as if time itself is holding its breath. For just a second, the drop feels weightless, suspended in midair, before it is pulled over the edge. And then, with a rush of water and a sudden plunge, the drop is falling through the air in the wild, uncontained rush of water. It feels the wind tug at it, the world spinning around it, the sensation of pure motion as it falls toward its next destination. The drop is not alone. It is part of the river's mighty current, part of the great force that shapes the world. Its journey is no longer a solitary one. It is now a journey that belongs to the earth, the sky, the water. And as it falls, it feels an overwhelming sense of surrender to the journey, to the natural flow that carries it through the world. The drop continues its descent, feeling the pull of the earth, the rush of the water, the sheer power of nature that surrounds it. It is no longer concerned with where it is going, and no longer needs to know what lies ahead. It only needs to fall, to be swept along in the current of life, moving with the river, toward whatever comes next. And so, the drop continues to fall, surrendering to the moment, to the current, to the force that will carry it to new places. The river, though it has brought the drop to this precipice, is not its end. It is only the next step, the next chapter in the endless cycle of life. After the drop plunges from the waterfall, it feels a brief, dizzying moment of weightlessness. The world spins in a blur. Water, air, earth, and sky all become a singular, swirling mass. For a moment, there is only motion, an intense rush of movement as the drop falls through space, heading toward its next journey. But as it hits the surface of the earth, the sensation shifts. Instead of crashing violently, the drop is absorbed, gently sinking into the soil beneath it, as if the earth itself is welcoming it with open arms. The tumult of its descent is replaced with the stillness of the ground. The drop feels a coolness envelop it, as if it is being cradled by the earth itself. It is absorbed, swallowed by the dark, rich soil, and in that moment, it understands that it has come full circle. From the cloud to the lake, from the river to the waterfall, the drop has traveled far, but now it has found itself in the heart of the earth. It is no longer a singular entity, no longer a drop of water drifting freely through space. It is now part of something deeper, something rooted in the very fabric of life itself. It has become a small, integral part of the ground, a part of the cycle that sustains all things. The soil around the drop is rich with nutrients, dark and moist, the scent of the earth filling its senses. It is a feeling of stillness and quieten opposite to the rushing, rapid flow of the river. Here, there is no urgency, no rush to move. There is a peace in being held, in being absorbed, in becoming part of something much larger than oneself. The drop feels itself mingling with the earth, merging with the vast network of life that exists beneath the surface. It is not a solitary existence anymore. It is now a piece of the soil, nourishing the plants that will grow, enriching the roots that reach deep into the earth. In the soil, the drop feels a deep sense of calm. It is no longer caught in the rapid flow of the river or the excitement of the waterfall. Here, there is quiet. Here, it is rooted. The drop reflects on its journey, understanding now that its path is never linear. It has moved from the sky to the lake, from the river to the waterfall, and now it has settled into the earth. It has experienced the forces of nature, the rush of water, the pull of gravity, the beauty of the flow. But now, it knows that it is part of something greater, a cycle that has no beginning or end, just a constant unfolding. As the drop rests in the soil, it begins to feel the faint stirrings of life around it. The roots of a plant nearby begin to reach toward it, seeking out the nutrients it now provides. The plant is unaware of the water's journey, unaware of the path that led it here, but it knows that it needs this water to grow. And in that moment, the drop understands its place. It is not just water, it is life. It is sustenance. It is the foundation upon which growth depends. The drop is no longer an individual entity. It is part of the greater whole, contributing to the ongoing cycle of life. It has come full circle, from the sky to the ground, from one stage of existence to the next. The drop now understands the profound truth that it had been unable to grasp before. It is not the singular, independent being that it once thought itself to be. It is part of the natural world, a small, vital piece of the larger ecosystem that supports life in all its forms. The drop has moved from pride to humility, from a sense of being separate to an understanding of unity with the earth, the water, the plants, and all of life that surrounds it. It no longer worries about its importance. It understands now that it is important not because of its singularity, but because of its role in the cycle. As the drop continues to settle into the soil, it feels the vibrations of life around it, the hum of insects, the gentle sway of the plants above, the movement of the earth beneath. The world is alive, and it is now a part of it. The drop is connected to the roots, to the grass, to the flowers that will bloom in the spring. And though it cannot see them yet, it knows that its presence is contributing to the growth that will come. It has become a part of the Earth's natural process, one that continues regardless of individual understanding. Life moves on, and the drop is content to let it unfold. The drop's journey has come full circle, but in a way, it is only just beginning. It has learned to flow with the rhythm of life, to accept its place within the greater whole. And as it rests within the earth, it feels a deep peace, knowing that this moment, this simple, quiet existence holds just as much beauty and importance as any of the previous stages of its journey. It no longer needs to rush, no longer needs to push against the flow. It simply is. And that, in itself, is enough. Time passes, and the drop, now a part of the soil, slowly begins to feel the change. In the air around it, the earth's pulse, once gentle and steady, begins to quicken. It feels the subtle stirrings of something greater, something vast. The plants above, once rooted firmly in place, begin to reach further toward the sun. Their roots intertwine with the drop, and in their growth it feels its own transformation. The warmth of the sun reaches down into the soil, encouraging the plant to stretch, to rise, to bloom. As the plant grows, the drop, now absorbed into the earth, is slowly drawn upwards once more. It is a slow process, but the drop feels the energy shift. It is no longer deep within the soil, but closer to the surface now, lifted and drawn toward the light. The transformation is almost imperceptible at first, like the faintest stirrings of wind. But as the days pass, the change becomes clearer. The drop is no longer water alone. It is part of a greater process, a process of life, growth, and renewal. Its role has shifted once again, but the drop no longer feels confusion or hesitation. It has learned that life, like water, is not a static force. It is ever-changing, always evolving, always finding new forms of expression. One day, when the sun is particularly bright, the drop finds itself no longer absorbed by the soil, but instead, it is resting on a small green leaf, shimmering under the light. It has left the earth and is now a part of the plant, caught in the light, still and silent. The drop reflects on this new stage of its existence and marvels at the beauty of this moment. The sunlight filters through the leaf, bathing the drop in warmth, and for a moment, it feels weightless, free from the constraints of its earlier form. It is no longer simply water. It is a part of the plant, reflecting the light, catching the warmth, a small piece of a much larger, living thing. But as it sits there, suspended on the leaf, it begins to feel a change within itself. The air grows warmer, drier, and the leaf beneath it begins to bend ever so slightly. The drop feels a shift within its own structure. It starts to evaporate slowly at first, and then more quickly. It feels its edges become less defined, its form dissipating into the air. The transition from solid to vapor is natural, and yet it is still a startling experience for the drop. For so long, it had been anchored to the earth, bound by gravity, pulled into the soil. Now, it is free. It is light, and it rises upward, joining the air around it, becoming a part of the atmosphere, a part of something larger, something vast. The drop rises higher, drawn by the warmth of the sun. As the plant below continues to thrive, it joins with other drops that have already evaporated, gathering with them to form a cloud. The drop, now part of the vapor, no longer has the form it once had. It is no longer the drop that fell from the cloud, or the drop that flowed through the river. It is something else, now part of the air, part of the sky, part of the endless cycle of nature. It is no longer concerned with its own significance or purpose. It is simply part of the flow, part of the larger process of life, of nature's endless cycle. As the cloud begins to drift across the sky, the drop understands that its journey has come full circle. It is no longer bound to the earth or the plants. It is free, rising higher and higher, drifting on the winds, traveling through the sky. It has become one with the atmosphere, part of the great body of air that surrounds the world. The drop realizes that it is no longer a single, isolated being. It is now part of something vast, something eternal. The drop has come to understand that its journey is not about the places it goes or the form it takes. It is about the interconnectedness of everything. The cloud drifts across the sky, and the drop feels a profound sense of peace. It no longer worries about its future, no longer concerns itself with where it will go next. It is part of the flow, part of the cycle, and that is enough. The drop understands now that it does not need to know where it is headed. Its purpose is to move, to flow, to be part of the larger process. It will return to the earth, join the rivers, the lakes, the oceans, and the plants, and the cycle will begin again. This is life constantly changing, constantly evolving, but always interconnected, always moving in harmony. The cloud drifts toward the horizon, and the drop feels itself merging with the larger body of vapor. It is no longer a single, isolated being. It is part of the cloud, part of the sky, part of the universe. The drop has learned that to be part of something greater than itself is not a loss, it is a gift. It has found its place in the grand eternal flow of life, and it knows that, no matter where it goes, it will always be part of this cycle. As the cloud moves across the sky, the drop is at peace. It is free, and it knows that freedom lies not in control or understanding, but in the acceptance of the flow of life. The drop will continue its journey wherever the wind takes it, and with each new moment, it will find itself again. It will be part of the earth, the sky, and the sea, always moving, always flowing, always evolving.